Now, a couple of videos ago, I mentioned how my girlfriend and I went to a local game store. It's basically a preservation store, a collector store. It has a bunch of older games and consoles, and I ended up purchasing a Game Boy Advance. But the other day, my girlfriend and I were very, very bored because in the state that we live in, it's very hard to do things over the summer because it's always around 100 degrees. Scratch that, it's usually around 110 degrees. I misspoke, my apologies. And for my viewers who don't use the Fahrenheit system, because I actually have quite a bit of you, it's usually around 43 degrees Celsius for the state that I live in. So it's very, very, very hot here. So we went back and I purchased a GameCube. Look at this thing, dude. I've been sleeping on the couch, not because of my girlfriend. Don't worry. Dude, I got a fucking GameCube. That's wild. Okay, back to future me. Now you're probably wondering, Wicked Nate dumbass on my iPhone screen, why did you purchase a GameCube in 2024? Well, I'm gonna tell you why I purchased a GameCube in 2024 because that is the title of this video. Growing up, I had a Wii. I grew up in my cat is using the fucking letterbox. Oh my god. Growing up, my main form of playing games came from a Nintendo Wii because I grew up in the early 2000s. That was all the hit crave, okay? But with my family's financial situation, buying new games when they came out was not something that we really could do outside of major holidays or birthdays. Now, I'm really going to put unk status on myself here because when I was that age, my family would usually go to Blockbuster. If you don't know what Blockbuster is, I highly, highly recommend you look it up because for the late 90s and early 2000s people who grew up during that unfortunate time of American history, they were pretty much lifesavers. It's the reason I love movies. It's the reason I love games. Now, you used to be able to rent video games there. I think you could buy them. Honestly, that never ever happened for me. We used to always just rent them. You could rent them for a couple of days at a time. And so we used to always rent our Wii games. Now, Wicked, what does that have to do with the GameCube? Well, I'm getting there, okay? Let me finish. So around that time, GameStop also wasn't a terrible place to purchase and trade in games. So people would go to GameStop and trade in all their games. And usually back then, if you traded in like 2 or 3 GameCube games, depending on the titles, of course, you could more than likely get a brand new copy of a new Wii game. And they would put all of the GameCube games in a little section in the corner, and that was my domain. My girlfriend and I, side note, have been watching Jujutsu Kaisen and might have to get my channel avatar redesigned with a Gojo outfit. I'm just saying, okay? That show is fucking amazing. But I would spend hours shifting through either the used Game Boy and GameCube sections at GameStop. They used to have these like cardboard boxes that just had a used, like laminated bright yellow tag on them. All of these GameCube games had like a pre-owned bright ass yellow sticker with the price, and they were like maybe at most, they were like $15 back in 2008. It was an insane time to be alive. And so over the years, I would play these games, and eventually I would kind of grow up and stop playing the Nintendo Wii. And I never really satisfied that itch in my brain where I felt like I had a deeper connection with the GameCube and GameCube games. And it wasn't until I was probably in late middle school to early high school that I realized that one of the reasons I had such a fondness and a deep connection for these GameCube games over pretty much everything except for DS and Game Boy games was because one of the first gaming memories I ever had as a kid was on a GameCube. Now, before the Wii came out, we have to go back even a little further. I was born in 2002, just for reference. I'm talking like 2005 right now. There were these places around my hometown that were essentially just daycares that parents who didn't make too much money could leave their kids for a very reasonable amount of time and money. We'll call it a fun park, okay? It wasn't like a Chuck E. Cheese. There wasn't arcade games. It was literally like a big ass facility that had used old gymnastic mats all over the place, and kids would just like tackle each other. They had like a little screening room for movies movies. Now, one of these sections was for the older kids. You had to be probably, I want to say 6 to be in this section. And since I was such a huge child back in the day, they thought I was 6 and they would let me use this room. A lot of the times too, I always like just attract people and friends. So I had a lot of friends at that time that were in the older kids section, even though again, I was like 3 or 4 years old at this point. I would just sneak in with them. And in that section, in the corner of this little tiny ass area that only the bigger kids could go to, was a small monitor, probably about 15 inches. It was very, very small. There was a GameCube, and there were 2 games that me and the rest of the kids that would go into this section were obsessed with, and that was Wind Waker, or The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker, and Harry Potter Quidditch, whatever the Quidditch game is called. Harry Potter Quidditch World Cup. Those 2 games were the 2 video games that I remember playing for the first time. The first game I ever owned was Pokemon Blue on a Game Boy Advance that was given to me by one of my mom's best friend's kids. But these 2 GameCube games have stuck in my head through multiple head injuries, through a near-death experience in a car accident. For some reason, I could never, for the life of me, understand why I can't get the memories of Quidditch World Cup and Zelda Wind Waker out of my head. And I really couldn't figure it out until I bought my own GameCube. So I've had 4 games just sitting with me. I've taken 4 of my GameCube games everywhere I've gone. I've moved 7 times in 6 years, which is a fuck ton, by the way. And every time I've moved, I've carried these with me, just hoping that eventually I would either find a Wii that was cheap enough or a GameCube, which was really what I wanted, was a GameCube, just because I had never gotten the chance to own my own. Going to the game store the other day, I found one. It's in insanely good condition. I think there's like maybe 1 body scratch on the top, but it doesn't make like loud fan noises. It loads up in an instant. The GameStop, or the game shop that I go to, the guys there are fucking amazing. They have huge collections and it's always changing. I've gone there, I think at one time my record, I think I went there just 3 days in a row just to kind of pick up the inventory while I was waiting for my girlfriend to get off work. And it's seriously crazy how fast they change their inventory in there. And 2 of the guys that work there are just incredible. But yeah, now I found myself just like looking at the GameCube. Like I've played it and there's going to be gameplay going while I talk in this video like always, but I've just found myself just holding the controller, just looking at this little square box while it's actually displayed next to my PS5 and my dusty ass Series X. This console to me means more to me than any other electronic that I own. It's crazy too, because I paid like $80 for this little fucking cube that's in like pristine condition. That's crazy. The guys also gave me a converter, so that's actually how I was able to record the gameplay, was because they showed me one of the HDMI converters that you can purchase, and I plugged it right into my Elgato. Absolutely no problems there. It's just, it fascinates me how much just this little square box could make me happy. On top of that, upon further inspection of the 4 GameCube games I have, 3 of them being Pokemon games, by the way, they're in really good condition. I can't get the stupid ass like GameStop used stickers off of them, which sucks, but I have the manuals for all 3 of these. It's Donkey Kong Jungle Beat, Pokemon Channel, Pokemon Coliseum, and then Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness. The discs in these things are absolutely beautiful still. The booklets are definitely a little aged. Again, these games are all pretty much, I want to say these games are like almost the same age as me, which is crazy. But yeah, so to answer the question that I proposed at the start of this video, why did I buy a GameCube? Well, to me, video games are so much more than just pixels on a screen. They're a part of who I am and who a lot of people are. Some of the greatest gaming experiences I ever had were when I was a kid. Some of my best friendships to this day are because of video games. There are so many things that I was introduced to because of these different worlds that you would be able to experience that I don't really know where I would be without them. And that's probably a super cringe, super typical thing to say, right? That's just like the typical yapster fucking comment. Oh, I hit my mic. I apologize. But for me, there's just so much there that I I had to buy it. I don't know. It's just there's such like an urge to be constantly playing these games. I've been looking at buying like a shit ton of GameCube games online, so my next paycheck is fat, so that's probably where most of my money is going to go after rent. I'm very happy with this purchase. It definitely took away a lot of the sad feelings I felt on the inside. Wait, that sounds... If you own a GameCube or you just want to talk about your first gaming experience, please do so in the comment section down below. I just want to also say thank you guys so much for all of the fucking support recently. It's been really crazy. The Xenoverse 2 video that I uploaded a couple weeks ago just hit 10,000 views, which obviously for a lot of channels, that's like a bare minimum that they have to hit. That's not what it is for me. So it means a lot to me. Also, all of the comments that I've been getting, even if they're just calling out the way I talk, I haven't had a negative experience with anyone. So I just want to say thank you for that. All right, I'm getting emotional. So I'm going to go punch a child. I don't have a child, so don't worry. You can't call CPS on me. I'm fucking like 5 years old internally. I watch airplane videos like all day on YouTube, okay? So don't even come at me.